All right, so this is the podcast about why I was such a terrible soldier. Um, I talked about why I joined the Army, and in basic training, I was actually a pretty decent soldier because I wanted to learn, right? I wanted to make sure I was doing everything right, and I really hated doing push ups. So the more I did right, the less push ups I had to do. Um, so finished basic and I finished AIT, which is for civilians, it's your job training. I finished that and got to my first duty station, and I found out that all the soldiers around my age, they were just normal dudes and they liked to party. And I was like, sweet, the Army isn't as bad as I thought it was. And that's what I did. Like immediately started partying and drinking underage. Of course, everyone did it. Um, but the problem with that is I would get like smashed drunk and then call my cousin Rhonda, who I had been living with, her and Danny and Katie, before I joined the Army. And yeah, so I would drunk dial her and just like chat with them at stupid hours of the night. Very inconsiderate. So that's kind of the lifestyle I started leading. And so I was thinking about something this morning, how every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And that it it kind of it made sense, right? Like I grew up around a lot of drinking and a lot of partying, and I got to my organization and I was like, well, I'm going to party it up. I know how to do that real well. So that was the equal reaction, and later on it turned it into the opposite reaction, and I'll go pretty thorough into that. But so I had, at a young age, as a young soldier, I should say, I had four Article 15s, not back to back, but an Article 15 it's I guess it's like a misdemeanor, depending on the level of Article 15 you get. And mine they weren't too bad. Part of it, I think, is because I wasn't a bad soldier as far as like getting work done. I was just like the soldier no leader wanted because I was a problem. Not with authority, just like I had issues, and I made sure I made sure I actually had a lot of those issues. You know, um, so my first one, I'll go through them. My first one I ever had was I was the guidon bearer for my battery, and which is it's an organization, and I had a really tough time waking up in the morning. I was always late. It was before I became the guidon bearer, and then once I became the guidon bearer, it's because I was my commander's driver. I wasn't my commander's driver because I was a bad soldier and he needed to watch me, because that's the last thing a battery commander needs to do is babysit a soldier. I was his driver because what he said is he saw potential in me. He could see, I think his words were, I was charismatic at a young age. So his name is Paul Warmiskirk, and I'm actually still his friend today. We're friends today. I became his driver, and I think it worked out well because growing up, where I grew up in upstate New York, it's a lot of back roads. You learn to get to people's houses without knowing even the road names most times. I would just drive. I knew where I had to turn right, left, all that stuff. So he would tell me, hey, Eck, we need to go to such and such training area. And then he could just read his map or do whatever he's doing without him giving me any direction. So it worked out really well. But because, like I said, because I was his driver, I was the guidon bearer. And that's the kid who stands in front of the formation. He's supposed to like kind of represent the company. It's a young kid and super motivated, high energy, all that stuff. And that wasn't me for the most part. I was high energy, but I wasn't very good. And I slept a lot. I would sleep in so much. And then my first time sleeping in that position, my platoon sergeant immediately recommended Article 15. And it wasn't because he didn't like me, but it's because he saw that I had already had a history of that. So he's like, no, we're not doing that. So I read my Article 15 that morning. Like right after our first formation for the day, I got called up and read my Article 15. And I got restricted to posts and all that stuff. And man, I hated that guy. And I even hated my commander just because I was like, I was 18. I was young. I got in trouble, so I was mad at them because I got in trouble. Real dumb. And then that went past. It was fine. And then I got another Article 15 for my second one was for I had I had a girl in my room during duty hours. That's right. So where my room was in the barracks was right next to this big it was an old conference room that my battery used for urinalysis in the morning. So my room was literally right next door to that conference room area. And the commander, who was my boss, like my immediate boss, really decided, hey, Eck, you're done going to the bathroom. I'm going to go ahead and check your room. And I was like, oh, no. So, no problem, sir. Let me go square it away real fast. And I took the girl and I moved her up across where the pillows would go. And I tucked the blanket in, I wrapped it around her, made it look like pillows. I even had an edge of a pillow sticking out. It was on top of her hair. Like, it was pretty well done. I was pretty proud of myself. And he walks in and looks over, and I had this couch in my room, and he's like, where is she? And then he just looks at the bed. He's like, get her out of here. And I was thinking, oh, thank God he's taking care of me, right? He's like, he's going to cover for me. I'm straight. And then the same exact thing happened. I snuck her out and everything. I thought I was, we're in this together. Thanks, dude. And I get to the office that morning and calls me in, and I get read my second Article 15 for cohabitation. It's unauthorized in Army barracks. You can't have your girlfriend stay there ever. There's no way around it. You just can't. So I got another one. I wasn't as mad at him this time for that. I was more mad at him because I thought he had my back, and he definitely didn't have my back. So yeah, after that, I kept my nose clean for quite a while. I was still still a smart mouth private. And then once I made specialist, they moved me into being a driver for MLRS. I was an artilleryman, so I was a driver. Which in artillery, in the 13 Mike world, once you make it into an artillery system and you're not someone's driver or you're not an ammo, you're kind of like, you've made it. At that age, I was like, yes, I made it. I'm a cool guy now, right? So my new section chief, he's like, hey, which is like my first line boss, I'm going to go ahead and inspect your vehicle. Be outside your barracks at 16:30. Look, all right, cool. So he comes up and looks it over and stuff. He's like, where's your insurance card? It's not insured yet. All right, then don't drive it at all until it's insured. No problem, Sergeant. I'm not going to drive it. And so I started driving it anyway. And he caught me, and he's like, Eck, he counseled me. He did, he put it down on paper and everything. He's like, if it happens again, I'm going to recommend Article 15 because you are not authorized to drive a vehicle without insurance. I was like, yeah, no problem, Sergeant. And I did it anyway. So it was like the final straw, right? He did it again. I was just I was a problem. I was a big pain in the butt. So again, had to go stand in front of my battery commander. This is all the same commander every time. Had to do this. Um, After that, the commander had left, so I'm sure he was real thankful. And again, I cleaned up my act. I learned my lesson for a little while. And everything was good. And to be honest, I learned my lesson for good because at that point I wanted to be a gunner and I wanted to move up to be a section chief. So I was keeping my nose really clean. And he, my same section chief, had moved on, and I got a new one, and I ended up moving up to a gunner position. And this was shortly after I met Leslie. I got my fourth one, and this one I was actually with Leslie on Easter Sunday. Wow, Sunday. Playing softball with her and her family in a softball field behind their house and having a good old time. And I got a call. I said, "Hey, Eck, do you know you have guard duty?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "Yeah, you missed it. It was 2 hours ago." "Cool, man. Did anybody cover for me?" And he said, "No, what made me mad is that same guy I had covered for twice. And he never covered for me." So I was real annoyed, but I kind of was like, "Oh, it's already passed. So I guess I'll just suffer the consequences tomorrow." And yeah, that night, like Sunday night, my first sergeant called me and he's like, "Hey, what happened, man?" And I explained it to him. He's like, "Nothing I can do. You missed guard duty. They're trying to make an example of people, and you're a senior specialist at that point." He's like, "I'll see you in the morning. You're gonna get ready your UCMJ, your Article 15." And I was furious because I was keeping my nose clean. So I got the Article 15. I did it. I did my restriction. I did my extra duty again for the fourth time. And that was my final one as a junior enlisted soldier. And the whole time I took it real seriously. Like as an extra duty man, as a soldier on extra duty, I was like, right place, right time. My uniform looked sharp. I wanted my leaders to see, like, even though I got in trouble, I'm still a good soldier, and I'm still like here to do my job and be as awesome as I can. I think that helped that time. But I was such a problem kid. And by that point I had quit drinking too because my drinking had become a problem. So rewinding back to when I got caught with that soldier in my room. I'm sorry, wow. The girl in my room, my commander had pulled me aside and said, "Eck, I'm seeing a lot of problems, man. You're constantly in trouble. You're constantly running late. This is not the first time we've had issues. I've been talked to about your drinking." He pretty much gave me an ultimatum, said, and not exact words, "Either you're going to go to church with me or I'm going to kick you out. I'll start picking you up on Sunday mornings at 8:30. I was like, "Okay, I guess I'm going to church." Because I enjoyed being in the Army. I was just too immature to continuously make the right choice. So, like I said, I cleaned up my act. I stopped drinking completely. And in fact, beer tasted gross to me. I hated beer. I would complain to my NCOs about it all the time. Like, I like getting drunk. I just hate beer. But yeah, I don't hate it anymore. So I started going to church, and it was probably a couple months after that I met Leslie. So that is what we're going to talk about next. I'm going to talk about when I became a sergeant in the Army, as well as meeting my wife, who's now my wife, I guess. In fact, there'll be two separate stories. There's going to be one about becoming an NCO, about becoming a sergeant, and the other one will be about Leslie, and I'm going to try to convince her to get on here and talk about it with us. Even though her story varies from mine, but I have a photogenic memory, so I know a lot more than she does about it. No, but seriously, it's a pretty cool story. A lot of my friends have already heard it. But yeah, I definitely credit Paul Warmiskirchen and Leslie as far as like getting my nose clean and doing the right thing. Paul, because he, like I said, he gave me that decision, and Leslie, because she literally is the best person I've ever met. And she kind of forced me to be a better person without actually forcing me to be a better person. I just wanted to be good around her. I wanted to be a great person. She was so awesome. She's amazing. Uh, and it, I could not live with disrespecting her enough to where she would give me the time of day to spend any minute with me, and I turn around and kind of ruin it. So um, I purposely cut my nose clean, and it was fun. We had such great times, um, and yeah. For those of you who don't know, I'm still married to her today. It's been almost 19 years. January will be 19 years that we've been married. Anyway, yeah, the next podcast will be about how we met. Could be me, could be both of us, and then the one after that, you get to hear what a toxic leader I was, and you're going to hear a little bit about what changed it, why I changed it, and we're going to interview my first soldier that I had post figuring my leadership style out a little bit and starting assessing it. And we're also going to talk to a gentleman named First Sergeant Guy Smith. When we met, we were a specialist in a PFC, and he's one of my closest friends. I have three best friends: Guy Smith, John McGrath, and Hank Mardukas. Just kidding. They're not my only three best friends. There's several men in my life that I consider one of my best friends. But yeah, if you can tell me where the Hank Mardukas quote came from, I'll mail you a prize. You can't Google it though. All right, guys. Yeah, I'll see you and talk to you next week. I'm gonna record all these episodes early though because it's driving me crazy waiting a whole week to record these. Yeah, if you have any questions, shoot me a message, comment on my YouTube, comment on my Facebook, whatever it is. If you have any questions or you have any stories that I may have forgotten and you'd like to make sure they get aired, whether it's good or bad, I mean, I'll decide if they get to be aired or not. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Have a great one.